Waitsfield was named after Benjamin Waite. As many people know, he was the first family that moved into town and had Waitsfield chartered, and the settlers at that time decided that they wanted to name it after Benjamin, so it became Waitsfield. Previous to which, he and his brother founded Waits River. And actually, when Benjamin Waite moved his family and the first settlers to Waitsfield, he was rather senior. He was along in years. He had fought in the French and Indian War, and had traveled through Vermont and saw the various valleys. And the story is that he traveled through this valley and thought it was special. He fought during the Revolutionary War, and it was at that time, or immediately after the war, that the legislature promoted him to general and gave him a very handsome sword, as I understand, which I think is on display up here to the Historical Society. Warren, Vermont, was named after Joseph Warren, who was a doctor down in Boston and was the leader of the resistance, if you will, the colonials that were fighting against Britain. He did a lot of, very smart man, did a lot of corresponding with the other colonies, Philadelphia and all, trying to coordinate what they were going to do. And his house still was down there in Boston, and it's now a tavern, and you can stop in and have a little beer and a burger or something there. It's very nice. He was killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill. He was fighting on Breed's Hill and was the last person he was going to evacuate from Breed's Hill and fall back to Bunker Hill when we ran out of ammunition, and the British came up over the top, and seeing him, recognizing him because of his fine clothing, which contrasted with everybody else, they immediately killed him on sight. But he had played, and the Battle of Bunker Hill was very early in, that was June 1775, so it's very early on in the Revolutionary War. So a lot of towns across the nation and counties are named after Warren, Joseph Warren, and Warren, Vermont being one of them. Lincoln Peak was not named after the president. It was named after General Benjamin Lincoln from Hingham, Massachusetts. He was a very prominent general during the Revolutionary War. He had the misfortune of having to capitulate his forces at Charlestown, South Carolina, where the British refused him the honor of surrender. And during the Revolutionary War, honor meant an awful lot. And not being allowed to surrender his troops with honors was deeply humiliating, not only to Benjamin Lincoln, but to the whole Continental Army. He went on afterwards and had several assignments, and at the final battle in the Revolutionary War at Yorktown, to allow him to redeem his honor, General Washington allowed him to have, in his division, allowed him the honor of having the center position on the forces as they bombarded Yorktown. So it was a way of redeeming his honor. And at the surrender, it was Benjamin Lincoln that received the surrender sword. Mount Abraham, to the south, is named after our President Lincoln. And Nancy Hanks Peak, to the north of Lincoln Peak, is named after President Lincoln's mother. Abraham Lincoln and General Lincoln were related, but it was very distant. You have to go back into the genealogy, their genealogies back into England before you find a common ancestor. But contrary to what a lot of folks may think or believe, Lincoln Peak was named after the general. And as for Fayston, I don't know how they get their name. And Moretown, about the same. Moretown is a very large town geographically, and some of the stories is that Moretown was named More because they had more acreage. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's about all I've ever heard.
Just a reminder that your support directly impacts our small community by helping our station provide public access to the airways and online platforms, giving community members a means to express their views and opinions. Please consider a 100% tax-deductible contribution to MRV TV by visiting the Donate section on mrvtv.com.